And now the final night of the semifinals. This is bittersweet. Night 3. The contestants consisted of Andrew He, Ahasic, Mattea Roach. Now, unlike previous nights, I'm actually going to summarize the 3 champions. Andrew He, the first player to win over $50,000 since Mattea. Not only was he the first player to win over $50,000 since Mattea, he scored over $50,000 on his first day, an achievement only one other player was able to do before him. He also holds the record for the highest daily double wager in season 38, $14,000 on a daily double, and it was a true daily double. Ahasic, one of only 2 champions who achieved runaway status in 5 of his 6 games, the other being Amy Schneider. He got 13 out of the 15 daily doubles in his first week, and he got a back-to-back daily double in the quarterfinal, both of which he bet it all and answered correctly, Roger Craig style. Mattea Roach, 23-game Jeopardy champion and the last player to win over $40,000 in season 38. I wanted to wait until now to mention that some fans noticed that Amy got an easy challenge in the semifinals, while Matt and Mattea got tougher competitions. It was already nerve-wracking to see Matt face Sam and John because of how they did in the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, we already knew how Eric and Andrew played even before the Tournament of Champions began. We already know this will be a strong competition between Andrew and Eric, remembering their daily double approaches. Even Eddie Saunders described this as a race to the daily doubles. He even pointed out something that I didn't even notice. In every single one of Eric's games, he got both daily doubles and double Jeopardy. Meanwhile, Andrew's an aggressive wager when it comes to daily doubles, almost all of which were over $10,000. In fact, his record of $14,000 is the highest anyone bet on a daily double in season 38, which we'll get to later on. Sorry, I see this game as being similar to the results of when David Sibley lost to Chris Panullo, Mattea Roach being David Sibley in this case. Ken Jennings' instruction was, welcome everyone to the last semifinal game of the tournament. Waiting in the wings already to compete in the finals are the player with the second most consecutive wins in Jeopardy history ever, that's Amy Schneider, and a Professor's Tournament champion who remains undefeated here on the Alex Trebek stage, that's Sam Buttery. But one more coveted final spot remains as we welcome back Mattea Roach, Ahasic, and Andrew He, who are all hoping to claim it. I already mentioned I dreamt that Matt, Amy, and Eric were playing in the finals. I'm rooting for Andrew just so there's another rematch. Just so that we finally get a rematch in this tournament.
Finally.
One of the categories was...
I'm Andy Patinkin. You may know me from... Well...
Yeah, I was thrown off because the guests featured usually say where they're from and what they do. Towson, Maryland of this charm county, we guess. Towson, Maryland are where the Donegan twins are from, Kristen and Kira. Even funnier, if it was Jackie who won instead of Eric, there's a chance she could have played when this question came up. Jackie defeated Kira in her original run. When this Old Testament kind is old and stricter in years, even the Pharaoh maiden Abishag does not arouse his interest. Mattea buzzed and answered, who is Solomon, which is incorrect. I just noticed right when I typed that, Solomon was the answer to the final Jeopardy on her 18th game when she won $42,001. Solomon was incorrect this time. Andrew buzzed and answered, what is Saul, which was also incorrect, taking him down to the red. Eric buzzed and answered, who is David? In between Saul and Solomon, we have David. And Eric scores between Andrew's and Mattea's. How fitting. Andrew got the first daily double, wagered 1,000, and went to 1,000. I bet he's glad he found it instead of Eric, especially looking at the scores. Andrew got a special message from one of his teachers. That's right, one of the thrills of being on Jeopardy is that after your show, you get this outpouring of messages and enthusiasm. A lot of my friends messaged me afterwards saying, let's go to Vegas, like, what's he going to do with all this money? Let's bet it all in. But not a minute later after that, my favorite moment is I got a message from a middle school teacher showing up like the angel on my shoulder being like, nice game, but don't forget about the children. Give to children's charity. Ken told him that implies his friends are the devil on the other shoulder. Eric used his winnings to get married, which took place as it aired. Or taped, whichever. After this episode airs, Eric will use his winnings on a honeymoon in Hawaii. Remembering he proposed to his then-fiancée in the Eiffel Tower, French Riviera, and in Culver City, I see they settled on the location of the honeymoon. Now, Eric mentioned he's planning a nice honeymoon after this airs. I definitely know his honeymoon took place by the time I upload this, so congratulations, Eric. I also just noticed Eric won only $3,000 more than Andrew in their original runs. Mattea's been recognized on the highway, so she got her license after all. I was recognized on the highway when I was driving 110 kilometers, which is like, I don't know what it is in miles. It's like the speed limit of the highway. So I was past and I could see like the window of the car. These women one of them turned back and looked and then slowed down. And then I ended up passing the car again. And they all like waved. I was with my mom. She's in the audience. She'll remember. For anyone who's wondering, like I did get my driver's license eventually. I did learn how to drive. Didn't crash. That was a thing when I was here before. But yeah, don't recognize me on the highway, please. I know Mattea mentioned in her 12th game that she almost crashed and didn't drive for 6 years after that. And that her brother got his driver's license before her. Congratulations, by the way, Mattea, whenever that was.
No tener pelos en la lengua.
Nice Spanish pronunciation. Ender ended the first round winning $3,400. Mattea was in second place at $4,000, and Eric was in lead at $5,400. Often I say close game when I see scores like these. Let's see how Double Jeopardy turns out. Ender and Eric were tied right after the first question at Double Jeopardy. He took the lead of the question after, and the third question was a daily double. Ken told him, I know you were looking for it. He made it a true daily double. Got it right. Now it's $14,000 even. That was the amount he had when he bet it all against Molly. And he already beat Eric to the first daily double. So this is already the first game that Eric didn't get both daily doubles and Double Jeopardy in his entire Jeopardy career. That's insane. It's only the third question, and Ender already achieved something none of Eric's other challengers were able to do.
He got both daily doubles.
Ender was at $16,800 when he got the second daily double in Double Jeopardy. Sorry, Eric. Yeah, normally I say Ender got all three of the daily doubles. This was a very different circumstance.
But what will your wager be?
All of it.
He made it a true daily double. Mattea in the audience gasps.
We're going to say that.
You should have heard how loudly I gasped too. Even Ken told him, I did not think you were going to say that. Ken just saying that is insane because there were 2 moments when Ender had more than $10,000. And he said, yeah, I thought you might, after Ender said all of it. With a lot on the line, here's your clue and elegies. 1855's Hawthorne Churchyard was Matthew Arnold's tribute to these literary sisters, written soon after the last one had passed. The answer was the Bronte sisters. That took in with $33,600 as the audience cheered.
Who are the Bronte sisters?
That is correct. You have $33,600.
P's 2000.
I want to take this in for just a moment. First of all, the Bronte sisters also came up in Roger Craig's back-to-back true daily doubles in the 2011 Tournament Champions. Second, Ender scores $28,000 over Eric's and $31,000 over Mattea's. Third, I feel so bad for Eric. I knew he would try to beat Ender on any or all the daily doubles. I wonder how differently this would have gone had Eric got any of them, or even Mattea. Fourth, Ender defeated Eric in a very similar way he defeated Jackie just last week. Fifth, this was Ken's preamble exactly 1 year ago today. Ken Jennings, who's currently hosting by the way, introduced tonight's game as, now before we get started, I want to take a moment since it's Veterans Day, which is Remembrance Day in Canada and Armistice Day in the UK, to honor the service of all our US military veterans. I also want to celebrate the new champion, Andrew He, yesterday, with the James Holzhauer style all in Double Jeopardy, and then got Final Jeopardy correct, pulled off an impressive payday. Look at where we are exactly 1 year later. Sixth, Ender beat his own record of the highest daily double wager. He wagered $14,000 almost exactly a year ago in what would later be a $1 victory against Molly Carroll. Today, he bet $16,800. Both were true daily doubles also. This is also the highest daily double wager in a tournament since James Holzhauer bet $20,200 in the greatest of all time tournament. I'd love to see his reaction. Seventh, in the Jeopardy podcast earlier this year, Michael Davies said Ender He was an underdog who could do a lot of damage in the tournament. It further begs the question, how much longer could Ender have gone had it not been for Amy? Thankfully and surprisingly, I don't have much to say about the rest of the round. Eric ended Double Jeopardy winning $17,000. Interesting that he still scored that much even after the impressive daily doubles. Ken said the same thing about Amy. Mattea was in third place at $7,200. Looks like the loss of David Sibley all over again. Ender was in lead at $39,200. He scored only $1 less than how much Eric won last week. The comment I posted was, fun fact, Eric Ahasic won $39,201 in the quarterfinals, which was the highest score of the 6 games. Today, Ender won $39,200 at the end of Double Jeopardy, the highest in the entire tournament so far. $39,200 is also the highest score going into Final Jeopardy since Chris Panulo's 7th game when he scored $44,600. The Final Jeopardy category was London locales. The question was, to fight malaria, this former royal estate helped move quinine-producing cinchona plants from South America to India. Mattea's answer was a question mark, That's exactly what I would have answered. She didn't bet anything, leaving her final score at $7,200. Eric also answered a question mark. Here was $217. At first I thought, why didn't he do his usual $221? Until I remembered that's Chris Panullo. Maybe Eric's now wife's birthday is February 17th. Eric's final score is $16,783. Still an impressive score after 2 aggressive daily double wagers. Andrew also answered a question mark. Mattea and the audience laughed as Ken said, "We stumped you all, 3 Jeopardy champions." This is Kew Gardens, where the Royal Botanical Gardens were. They grew the drugs that help solve malaria problems. Andrew risked $1,337, his exact bet in his 5th game. I was hoping he'd bet this again just because I didn't mention before that 1,337 is actually lit speak. It's leet speak for leets. His final score was $37,863 and is now a finalist. Now I do have a lot more to say about this, so tune in for part 3, where I go over the aftermath of Mattea Roach and Ahasic's losses.
And as always, thank you for
Wait, I'm not done. Just to put this game further into perspective, Andrew He defeated Jonathan Fisher in the quarterfinals. As we all remember, Jonathan was the only player to become a super champion after defeating a super champion. In the semifinals, he faced another super champion and a giant killer who had super champion potential. So that's 2 giant killers he defeated, one of whom became a giant himself, and the other was on his way to become a giant himself. And as we all remember, Andrew's run started after he defeated Dane Raggard by $2, both of whom scored over $50,000. Just the fact that Dane didn't win enough games to qualify for the Tournament of Champions and was one of the strongest players we've seen says a lot. That really says a lot. And Andrew almost prevented a victory from Amy Schneider, who currently holds the 2nd most wins in the history of Jeopardy. One more thought is I kind of predicted Sam Buttery and Andrew He would be finalists.
Tournament of Champions. Someone even come to that 5 super champions in one season means 2 super champions will be in the Tournament of Champions, which is intense. I also think this claim is too soon to call because it's not considering competitive champions like Sam Buttery and Andrew He.
So over her set was titled, "It's All Love Over Here." I'll just play the clip.
Nice game, you guys. Nice. You scared the crap.
You too, man.
Yeah, not even seeing the transcript, I wouldn't have been able to, decipher. Yeah, so, similar to Amy and Roan, Eric and Andrew scared each other. Ken told them, "I noticed all 3 of these semifinal games were kind of a love fest. Everybody's getting along, they're having a good time. The hard part has already been done." Eric tells him, "Just getting here is the hard part, and this is it's fun." Mattea chimes in and says, "I've never been upset about losing to someone, first of all, that I like, and second of all, who plays really, really well." So, Andrew tells him, "I don't know how you could spend any time talking to these people and not love them, these 2 particular people." Ken asks them, "Well, I asked a softball question, but you guys still just overwhelmed me with love." Softball? Is this John Folks Field? Field! Pun intended. You all 3 played very well, but the daily doubles were the difference. Andrew, what was your approach to the wagering today? She answered, "It was just, this is who I'm facing, and there's going to be a lot of fear, and you just have to ignore it." Walk me through the 3rd and final daily double when you already had a big lead over Eric and Mattea. I was expecting the traditional conservative wager because all the daily doubles are now off the board. You didn't consider it? Andrew answers, "I never consider a conservative wager." What about in his 5th game? There's so much money left on the board still. I didn't feel like I was dominating the buzzer or anything like that. And part of me just wanted to, channel my inner, Roger Craig, a former champion who just blew it up with the wagers. Ken told him, well, it turned out to be correct because Mattea and Eric continued to buzz and respond well. And Eric in particular, would come within range of a smaller wager. Andrew told him, too close. It's also funny because even Andy Saunders predicted this be a game too close to call. Ken asked Mattea, what was it like coming back, Mattea? The semifinals is your first round back. She answered, I feel like I have the moral victory of the fun game that we did on Tuesday. So I'm just happy to be here, to be honest. And again, to share a stage with 2 amazing champions. Again, I'm not going home upset at all. The video ends in Ken telling Andrew that they'll be seeing a rematch. Andrew, in the finals, will be seeing a rematch. You have played Amy Schneider before in her first game. He answered, yeah, we'll see how many times a person is allowed to lose to Amy Schneider. This is too cool. So bittersweet. I already have chills. I had chills when seeing this game, and now I have chills again doing this voiceover. I forgot how much I miss all the champions of the semifinals. I just can't get over it. This is too cool. Love is evidently contagious because it's titled It's All Over Here, and even I'm feeling the love, and I don't even know any of these people personally. Now let's get into the finals. Now I can end it right here.
And as always, thank you for watching.